Ever seen someone spray lighter fluid on a birthday candle and then act shocked when the curtains catch fire? That's Disney's live-action Snow White right now, and Rachel Zegler is standing there waving the match. The film was already wobbling under the weight of online backlash when Trey Parker and Matt Stone strolled in, roasted everything with the subtlety of a flamethrower, and left Hollywood executives sprinting in circles. Today, we're unpacking how South Park turned one lukewarm controversy into a 5-alarm disaster, why Rachel Zegler's PR strategy is basically pour jet fuel on self, and why fans are cheering while the mouse scrambles for a fire blanket. Strap in. This story has more twists than a roller coaster made of legal disclaimers. For the last decade, Disney has been chasing two rabbits: nostalgia cash and social media approval. Live-action remakes pour out of Burbank like fun-sized candy bars, each one stamped with a shiny promise of modern values. Sometimes the formula works. Think Cinderella in 2015 or Aladdin in 2019. Other times your soul withers, as anyone who sat through the Disney-bought Pinocchio can confirm. From the moment the Snow White redo was announced, red flags danced like dopey on espresso. First came the modern script: no sweeping romance, barely a prince, and 7 CGI stand-ins who look like background extras from a Spirit Halloween fantasy aisle. Disney called it bold and inclusive, a story for the next generation. Longtime fans heard soulless reskin, cracked their knuckles, and started typing. A quick timeline of the meltdown goes like this. In 2018, Disney announced the remake, and the internet shrugged. In 2022, Rachel Zegler, fresh off West Side Story, landed the role. Debates ignited in seconds. By mid-2023, paparazzi shots leaked from set, 1 actual dwarf, and 6 average-height hipsters hauling rucksacks through a meadow. Twitter erupted. Then, the first teaser rolled out. In 2024, no prince, no romance, no classic song cues, and the trailer got ratioed into orbit. That pile of dry tinder was everything South Park needed. Casting diverse actors has never killed a film. What does kill momentum is torching the source material while you promote it. And torch it, Rachel Zegler did. On press junkets, she called the 1937 classic outdated and weird, suggested the prince was basically a woodland stalker, and capped it off by telling anyone who disliked the direction to stay home. Marketing 101. Never tell half your audience they're not invited, especially when half your audience bought the merchandise 70+ years ago and never stopped. Every spicy quote became a meme. Not my Snow White trended for days. Conservative pundits shouted woke, progressive reviewers muttered yikes, and Disney's PR team scrambled to pivot. Meanwhile, Zegler seemed to speedrun new sound bites, the way streaming services cancel sophomore shows. Trailer analytics told the same story. Fewer than 1 in 5 viewers watched the teaser all the way through, the worst view-through rate for any modern Disney remake. Cue Trey Parker and Matt Stone. South Park's creators have made an art of kicking cultural hornets' nests, from Scientology to climate denial to Kanye's fish stick ego. They smelled lighter fluid on Disney's curtains and couldn't resist striking a match. Their Paramount Plus special, Joining the Panderverse, flips every trope. Cartman, Stan, Kyle, and Kenny morph into adult women of color who lecture the town about patriarchy and toxic fandom. It's less a single joke than a mission statement. Hollywood, if you chase demographics before storytelling, we will drag you. The satire never mentions Rachel Zegler by name, but it doesn't need to. The special's Latina Snow White, who despises romance and lectures woodland creatures, is more than enough for audiences to connect the dots. South Park paints studio executives as a bug-eyed algorithm named PANDRTM, a digital suit programmed to swap in ethnicities and gender identities like sticker packs. Subtle, not remotely. Effective, like a sledgehammer through a piñata. One episode from 2 foul-mouthed 4th graders can undo months of corporate spin. A 2024 Morning Consult poll found over half of Gen Z trusts satirical news more than cable pundits. Viewers flock to TikTok, splicing Ziegler's interview clips beside Cartwoman rants. Sex Snow Woke racked up 30 million views within 48 hours. Even brand accounts had jokes. Arby's tweeted, "Our roast beef is still less roasted than Disney." Disney's internal response, if leaks are to be believed, was frantic. Executives hit DEFCON goofy. A reshoot order went out to restore authenticity. That meant building new sets, flying back cast members, and digitally inserting 7 CGI dwarfs into scenes that previously featured average-height magical creatures. Industry insiders pegged the patch job at roughly $70 million, about the entire budget of 1989's The Little Mermaid mermaid when adjusted for inflation. One weary VFX artist allegedly quipped, "We've rendered more fake beards this month than actual dwarfs. At this point, we deserve Oscar consideration for outstanding achievement in damage control." Reshooting wasn't the only move. Rumor says Disney's top brass quietly phoned Paramount to ask whether South Park might dial back the promos. Anyone who has watched Parker and Stone for more than 5 minutes knows that's like telling a tornado to spin quieter. Reports suggest the call just inspired the duo to go harder. They're allegedly prepping a follow-up DEI-themed special for August, with Snow White's eventual box office numbers as Exhibit B. Picture Randy Marsh in Mickey ear headgear screaming, "Why won't you love me? I recycled the plot." While executives juggle spreadsheets, Rachel Zegler is stuck in a spotlight hotter than Dragonfire. Insiders claim she expected applause for delivering a fresh, modern heroine. What she's getting instead is a relentless meme storm, branding her the poster child for corporate pandering. Friends whisper she feels Disney hung her out to dry, begging her to promote a movie whose original pitch no longer matches the final cut. Meanwhile, Disney politely reminds her there's still an NDA with teeth. Hollywood peers are watching the fallout closely. Translation: they're binge-eating popcorn behind gated mansion walls. One anonymous screenwriter told Deadline, "Studios keep saying audiences want modern retellings, but ignore the second half of that sentence. That don't suck. Ouch, but fair." Let's pull back and ask why this remake hit different. Diversity itself isn't the villain of this tale. Moana proved you can center Pacific Islander culture and score both critical praise and box office gold. Black Panther built a billion-dollar empire by celebrating Afrofuturism. Across the Spider-Verse is practically a masterclass in inclusive storytelling. The difference is that those films lead with narrative love, then layer representation in organically. When a studio slaps marginalized identities onto thin characters and screams progress, it feels like confetti, bright, fleeting, and ultimately empty. Some viewers genuinely appreciate Disney's attempt to reframe a 1930s fairy tale. They argue that girls today need heroines who rescue themselves, not ones waiting for love's first kiss. Fair point. Others counter that you can champion modern values without stripping the fairy tale DNA. Romance isn't toxic if written with care. The Clash highlights a truth the industry keeps forgetting. Representation battles aren't one-size-fits-all. When nuance disappears, the conversation devolves into culture war lightning storms instead of meaningful debate. So what happens next? Option A. Disney shelves the film, eats the loss, and quietly reboots Tangled instead. It's unlikely. They've sunk too much money to walk away. Option B. They double down, launching a massive marketing push that frames criticism as intolerance. Expect think pieces, panel show shouting, and maybe a surprise cameo on The View. History suggests that tactic sells headlines, not tickets. Option C. They pivot hard, keep Ziegler, but restore the prince and the love song. Hire dwarf performers for key roles and rebuild the moral around kindness instead of vanity. Long shot? Absolutely. But stranger things have happened, like the Lone Ranger costing nearly $250 million and still existing. In the meantime, Parker and Stone are probably storyboarding a scene for Mickey stands trial in the Kingdom of Legalese, while Cartman launches a GoFundMe called Save the Classics that mysteriously pays for his Tesla. Fans are ready, they've set reminders, they've brewed more popcorn, and they're practically begging for another roast. What lessons should studios take as they eye the next wave of live-action revivals? Hercules, Lilo, and Stitch. You name it, start with story. Hire writers from the communities you hope to represent and give them real authority. Keep marketing departments on the other side of a soundproof wall until there's a finished draft everyone respects. Treat nostalgia like spice, not the whole stew. And never forget that satire lives to expose hypocrisy. If you hand it an all-you-can-eat buffet, it will devour you publicly. Before we wrap, here's a free fix Disney could have used on day one. Keep Rachel Zegler. Her voice is fantastic. Hire dwarf actors. There's an entire community eager for roles beyond sarcastic sidekicks. Bring back Prince Florian, but make him an endearing, slightly awkward himbo instead of a stalker. Restore the duet, "Someday My Prince Will Come," because fans adore a big musical moment. Then center the morale on kindness over vanity, so the line, "fairest of them all," lands with modern resonance. Cheaper than a $70 million reshoot, and a lot less painful than a South Park drag. So what did we learn? Culture war drama sells clicks, not necessarily tickets. Satirists feast on corporate hypocrisy. Don't feed them. If you're cast as an iconic princess, maybe gush about the magic instead of dunking on the original. And finally, if South Park knocks on your door, hand them snacks and pray they roast you gently. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Does Disney deserve the clowning? Did Rachel catch unfair heat? Are you hyped for another South Park special? If you enjoyed this deep dive into Hollywood carnage, hit that like button like it's a reshoot budget. Ring the bell so YouTube doesn't replace you with a CGI dwarf. And I'll see you in the next one. Until then, keep your classics classic, your satire sharp, sharp. And remember, if South Park's roasting you, somewhere along the way you probably messed up.